Latinx is a term we're starting to hear more and more in politics and Hollywood, but not everyone is on board with this gender-neutral term. It really depends on who you ask, and what can I say? It's causing a great debate within the Latino or Latinx community. If you're not familiar with the Spanish language, here's a quick lesson. If you're using the word el niño, meaning the boy, it ends in an O and is a masculine word. La niña, the girl, is feminine and it ends in an A. A group is los niños, masculine ending in OS. Growing up in a Spanish-speaking household, those are the grammar rules, gendered nouns. But in the last decade, the word Latinx has snuck into conversations. It's a gendered neutral word used to describe Latin Americans as a whole, used primarily by younger generations to embrace the non-binary community.
We're trying to bridge the divide between trans and then non-binary and gender non-conforming people with Latino, which has never really had a space for them.
DePaul University student Raymond Hernandez identifies as Latinx.
I don't have to just choose one or either, I can just be.
It's a term found all over DePaul Assistant Professor Esther Trujillo's office.
Essentially is the response of young people to older generations, and they're saying we have felt excluded and we want to bring this X to force people to look at the ways in which our community is diverse.
But change is hard and sometimes unwanted.
Yo usaría latino porque pues yo soy latina.
¿Usted usa la palabra Latinx?
No.
¿Por qué no?
Porque creo que es una moda cultural que destruye el idioma.
No one uses Latinx in real life outside of a handful of activists.
Not only is Latinx unfamiliar to many Chicago area Latinos, it's incorrect grammar. If you were to say it in Spanish, it would be Latinx.
En español hiciera Latinx.
Your average Hispanic mom who's watching Caso Cerrado at home, talk to her about Latinx, she would look at me like very strange. It's completely unrecognizable to anyone who actually speaks Spanish. It's an American concoction.
Writer Giancarlo Sopo stirred up a debate on social media after his article opposing the use of Latinx was published in USA Today.
So Spanish is a language that's grammatically gendered, but there's a difference between grammatical gender and biological gender. We need to separate what's in the domain of gender and grammar.
While some say Latinx is more inclusive, others want traditional Spanish to stay as is, calling the new term anglicized.
I'll call somebody whatever they want to be called. I'll use anyone's preferred pronoun. That's a personal choice. To think that we are going to use a word that's just completely alien to Spanish speakers, it seems to me like it's a little absurd.
Latino is part of history. During the Chicano movement, people fought for their identity, wearing Latino proudly on their sleeves. Switching to Latinx has many feeling like their sacrifices are being forgotten.
The resistance to it is that a lot of folks feel that Latinx is a continuation of pan-ethnic terminology that erases the specific experiences.
So should we be using Latinx every day? If we don't, are we discriminating? Well, there's no clear answer. Even Congressman Jesus Garcia, who's considered a progressive leader, doesn't have a simple answer. But he's sure the word is reflective of our current society.
There is probably a generational difference in who is comfortable with it. I use it most when I want to especially demonstrate my openness and my respect for people, regardless of what their identity is.
What is not debatable is that Latinx is trending. Whether it's a blip in time remains to be seen.
We as scholars thought that it would come and go in a year or two, and it's been 4 or 5 years now. It looks like it's going to stick around.
And it's a dumpster fire of a word, and that's where it's going to end up.
A lot of people are adamantly against it because they're against change and they're against creating more division and labels, which I do see how it is that, but it's more so about us using a word that is going to include a group that's already been here for so long.
Well, there you have it. Last October, a nationwide poll asked Latin Americans which term they preferred. Out of the 7 options presented, Latinx was second to last, with only 2% of individuals wanting it to be their identifier. So here it is. And these are the 7, but
Yeah.
Latinx here to 2%.
And you did one on Instagram too.
Yeah, 80-20.
People are very passionate about it, for or against.
Oh, I got some really long messages.
I mean, this is just so interesting. So I
Yeah.
studied Spanish for 7 years, and this would completely erase
What you know.
all the
Yeah.
laws
Yeah.
and the foundation of the
Everything.
language.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, like, because I was beginning to think that Latinx was like the preferred term, and not even thinking about the idea that it's an Anglican way of saying the word and taking away the heritage of what Latina Americans or Latina people around the world feel. Like, language is so complex and
Right.
always evolving. I just never know what to say anymore.
I thought it was
with any
a
word.
restaurant the first time I heard it. Not
There you
joking.
go.
I thought it was
Yeah,
a
she did
restaurant.
say
I was
that.
like, huh. Oh, wait, no.
Latinx?
Yes,
Yeah, I
right?